Oh, yeah. DeepWaterMMA.com podcast. Now with music to start.
Getting fancier by the podcast.
Getting fancier by the podcast. Podcast number 7.
Lucky number 7.
For DeepWaterMMA.com. So let's talk NBA playoffs.
Really?
No, not really.
Oh.
We'll say that. That was a joke. UFC 160 this weekend. Headlined by a heavyweight title fight between Cain Velasquez and Antonio Bigfoot Silva.
The most appropriate nickname in MMA.
Yeah, the most sort of form and content matching name.
He looks like
right?
Bigfoot.
He kind of looks
he
like...
He looks like a Bigfoot.
Yeah, like he's been shaved down.
Yes, he looks like a groomed Bigfoot. I don't know if this is fair, actually.
To call him Bigfoot?
No, to let him fight, because he's a Bigfoot.
Let him fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually a mythical creature,
yes.
so... which might explain his recent winning streak.
You have to be some kind of beast to knock out Alistair Overeem.
Yeah, especially the way that happened.
Mr. Horsemeat, Alistair Overeem.
Before we get to UFC 160, though, we did not do a podcast last week due to some scheduling conflicts. But before we get to UFC 160, your thoughts on UFC on FX8? Anything? Thoughts, memories, perhaps?
Just Vitor Belfort should be fighting for the belt next.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
Was, as we know,
dirty. That was sick.
That was badass. That was like Matrix or something.
2 head kick knockouts in a row over pretty much number 1 and number 2.
Top fivers.
Top 5 guys.
Yeah.
What else do you have to do to get a title shot, really?
Yeah.
Well, he just did actually have a title shot, so it's not like...
actually, that was in 2011, if you can believe it.
John Jones?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was
okay.
thinking of him against Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He did just have another title shot. I disclosed on the last podcast that I have an infant son at home, right? My wife is taking care of him quite a bit. So they're going to bed. They go to bed early these days, earlier than they used to a little bit ago. I'm not. But I was watching the Vitor Belfort fight last week.
Oh, yeah.
Or the last weekend, and I definitely woke them up after...
Did you wake the baby?
Spinning wheel kick.
You woke the baby.
I don't think the baby woke up, but they were like
stirring.
She was like, "Dan, we're sleeping. We're trying to sleep." I'm like, "No, but you got to see."
But watch the replay, honey.
Yeah, but
she's
hang on, let me show you on my phone real fast.
I don't care about your stupid fights.
She didn't care. That's true, but so I woke up my sleeping wife and baby with that Vitor Belfort kick.
Sweet.
So it was that good. It was that good. I think I tweeted right after that I thought it was KO of KO of the early decade. Right, it's 2013.
Right.
I haven't seen a better knockout. Better finish.
That's pretty nuts. That's pretty.
Fight.
You know, as soon as I saw it,
maybe Czech Congo Pat Barry.
Well, as soon as I saw it, I thought of the Uriah Hall from The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
There's almost the same kick, but from the other way.
Yeah.
You know, because he's right-handed and Vitor's left-handed.
Yeah.
So he spun the other way.
Right.
I think that helped him too, because Vitor is left-handed, and he, it's hard, it's weird.
Right, they're both southpaws, right?
I think Rockhold is too, yeah.
Yeah.
But you just don't get a lot of people throwing kicks and stuff from that side. You know? And it's weird when you don't see that all the time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, 90% of everybody's right-handed, and when you fight somebody left-handed, it's weird. The first time they're throwing a left hand, like over the top instead of a right hand or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it takes a little adjusting. Actually, speaking of that, I heard somebody tweeted or retweeted
It's weird too.
Stat.
Sorry, because you step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
You both have this.
Right.
You know, he has his right foot forward. You have your left foot forward, and you tend to step on each other's feet. It's weird.
I've noticed when you have a right-hander versus a southpaw, that a lot of the leg kicks seem to be a lot easier to come by. Because of what you just said. Their legs are basically touching each other, and they just take their best foot and sling it at your front leg.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that when they match up, they also tend to hit each other in the balls more often.
Yes.
When you have a righty and a lefty.
Yes.
Because of exactly what you just said.
Yes.
So there's more crotch shots in a righty-lefty fight. It's one of those things.
We should look that up. We'll put that on our research team.
Yeah. Forget what I was going to say before.
Research team, which consists of absolutely nobody.
Yeah, our research team is me and you and Sam Maxwell And Kelly Miller.
And roommate Chris is in here.
And roommate Chris.
He was our research team.
He was, for about 45 minutes. So, yeah, it was a crazy fight. UFC on FXA. It was a great card. A lot of finishes, a lot of good fights. But definitely the main event kind of stole the thunder.
I thought Evan Dunham beat...
yeah.
I'm sorry, I know.
Rafael Dos Anjos.
I just can remember his last name. Dos Anjos, yeah.
Yeah, that was a controversial fight.
I thought he won. I thought Evan Dunham won for sure.
I had Rafael Dos Anjos winning 29-28.
Weird, huh?
28, yeah.
Two people can watch the same fight, and you gotta feel for the judges a little.
I'm in the minority, I know.
The judges get a lot of shit, but it's
Yeah.
It's kind of an opinion-based...
To some degree, it's subjective.
Yeah, an opinion-based judging system.
Right,
You know?
I know, yeah, a little bit. I know, like, as a writing teacher, that writing is like that, too. You know, like, you can't scan someone's writing through a Scantron machine and get answers.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a little bit, you can't really do that with a fight either, you know? It depends on the
You have to decipher what you're seeing live, and put it down right in front of you.
And it depends on the things that that individual judges value in a fight. You know, like how do they regard a guy who's coming forward but maybe not doing as much versus a guy who's backing up and maybe doing
being more technical,
right?
Yeah.
Or takedowns and takedown attempts. You know what I mean? Like, do you give credit to a takedown attempt that doesn't work? Or does that fall under octagon control? You know.
I hate the wording that they use. I feel like it's so outdated.
Yeah.
And it needs to be definitely ratified and changed.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say the Supreme Court when the
what
Supreme
is
Court makes a
octagon
decision,
control? I understand that, but who's in control?
That's a great question. What is octagon control? What does that mean? How do you even define what that is? You know, does that mean you just have to keep coming forward all the time?
Yeah, but
does that mean
that didn't work for Leonard Garcia?
Yeah. and does that mean that you just have to keep attempting takedowns even though you're maybe not getting them all, like Francis Carmel against Lorenz Larkin, which is
the most boring fight ever.
Yeah, well, he couldn't get him down.
Yeah.
But it was 15 minutes of Carmel trying to take down Lorenz Larkin and not succeeding, and then winning the fight still, which was sort of a controversial decision. So there's a lot of things. I think the Dos Anjos fight against Dunham kind of... Every now and then you get fights that raise questions, you know, about what you value in a fight and what should be scored and how things should be weighted almost, you know, how do you weight a jab against a takedown attempt, you know, are they the same thing? You know, how do you factor all that stuff into your final decision?
I heard Nick Diaz put it...
That's a long conversation, for sure.
I heard Nick Diaz put it one time, they should judge on, who... If the fight kept going, who would win the fight?
Yeah.
If the guy's starting to, okay, you won in the beginning, but I'm really coming back at the end,
right.
You could tell, I was going to win if it kept going.
If the momentum
he feels
shifts
that guy should win that fight.
Right. I mean, it's obviously a radical idea, but what if you just started having UFC fights with no rounds? Just go until somebody loses.
Did you hear George...
I mean, that's probably illegal or something.
Did you hear George St. Pierre on the Joe Rogan podcast?
No.
Did you hear about that at all?
No, I didn't.
That's what he said. He said he wished MMA had no rounds.
Just one long round with no rests and breaks.
Well, that's it, basically. You know, no rounds, just fight.
Yeah.
He said that would make for more exciting fights.
Yeah.
But...
Anyway, we're not there yet. Maybe it'll evolve in that direction.
I think we've already been there. That's not the way to go.
Yeah, maybe we have.
I think a longer round. You know, Pride did a 10-minute round for their first round, and that was pretty cool. Maybe something like that. Longer rounds.
Right.
5 minutes is a long time, but maybe 8-minute rounds or something. I don't know.
There's a lot of logistics to it. You know, you got the certain the length of the card and stuff. You know,
Can you imagine? Yeah, that's what I mean. Could you imagine having a longer?
Yeah,
going to 2 in the morning.
Right.
You know?
Right. It'd be more like baseball.
Yeah.
It would be more like baseball, where you have to have a winner. There's no ties. There's no decisions. You know?
Keep playing.
Just
keep fighting.
Just next inning. You know?
You have to have a stoppage.
That's an interesting. You'd have to have a stoppage. Yeah, somebody could give up or whatever. That's an interesting. In a parallel universe that exists, right? We can think about it like that. All right, let's. Before we start, I just want to say the DeepWaterMMA.com best bet has moved to 7-1 in our history.
Really?
We've started the website back in February of this year.
I think I know who the one is.
We've had 9 events. We didn't have a best bet for the tough finale this year, but we've had a best bet for every other card. And our colleague Kelly Miller is a mean 7-1.
Wow, Kelly.
Who was the one? Do you know? Do you
Kelly
remember?
the Killer. Miller. You like that?
Yeah.
Stefan Struve, right?
Stefan Struve.
I knew it.
Fucking Stefan Struve.
You hate that guy.
Kelly Miller should be 8-0, everybody, if you're listening.
Yes.
Yeah, he should be 8-0. Stefan Struve had every opportunity
I picked
to win
Mark
that fight.
Hunt.
Yeah, you did. You picked Mark Hunt. It was a tough fight. I was uncomfortable with picking Struve because of his history and the way he is.
Never mind all the fights that I've picked since then that I've got wrong.
Yeah,
I got that one right.
No cherry picking your
I got that one right.
statistics. But 7-1, including our last one, which was Rafael dos Anjos. That was our best bet on the last card.
Wow.
So a squeaker.
Yeah, man.
A squeaker. But he's coming right back. Check out the website for our next best bet. Right, check it out. I'm not going to tell you who it is because I want you to go to the website.
Nice.
I want to find out who's listening. Go to the website.
See who it is.
Leave a comment. He can see. I don't know. What do you think of it? Just a thumbs up, thumbs down. Does that?
Oh, it's a good pick.
It's a solid pick, right?
Solid.
For the
I agree.
for the odds and for the fighters involved.
I agree.
Right. So we're trying to pick out some good stuff. So check out the website, DeepWaterMMA.com. For get your best bet fix, make some money. Right, think about it. If you bet
7-1, you'd be
if you
making
bet
money.
all 8 of our best bets only, you'd be up a couple $100.
It's too bad no
No
one
problem.
listens.
Depending on how much you bet or whatever.
It's too bad no one listens.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad the most people who have viewed any of our podcasts is like 24.
We'll
if
you're
there,
listening, you should tell your friends
we'll
to tell their friends to tell their friends.
Yeah, let's make our podcast go viral. We should do something crazy on our podcast so that it goes viral.
I know, right?
We'll have to think about it.
What can we do?
But let's move on. UFC 160. We'll start with the main event. A rematch between Cain Velasquez and Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Let me just give the odds real quick so people can see what we're getting into here. Cain Velasquez is basically a 7.5 to 1 favorite at minus 750. Antonio Silva nearly a 5 to 1 underdog at plus 475. Most people are saying, I think your money's pretty safe with Cain Velasquez if that's where you're going to put it, but you'd have to put a lot of it down to really bother with it. Is it worth it, Cale Loveridge, the connoisseur of MMA? Is it worth it?
No.
It's not worth it.
It's too big of odds, and Cain Velasquez is definitely going to whoop Antonio Silva.
So, I mean, if we're saying he's going to win, there's still just enough chance that Antonio Silva can hit him with something that it's not
I don't know, man.
worth betting on.
You want to know why I don't think so?
$750 wins you $100.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which seems like too much to risk.
Way too much. Cain's too fast. That's basically it.
Yeah, I should.
He's way too fast.
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Yeah, Cain Velasquez speed, athleticism advantage, cardio advantage probably. Most 9 out of 10 advantages seem to lie with Cain Velasquez. Maybe 10 out of 10.
I mean, size
is
Antonio Silva, but everything else, wrestling,
right,
kickboxing.
Yeah. The other Muay Thai, just
the
whatever.
first fight.
Right, the first fight. Yeah.
Within the first 30 or 45 seconds, Antonio Silva was busted open.
Yeah.
Bleeding everywhere.
Yeah. He was taken down less than a minute into the fight.
Yeah.
Bleeding at a minute and a half, and then that was it.
There you go.
I actually watching that fight, which was almost a year ago exactly, right? I remember thinking that if Antonio Silva could see out of his eyes, because there was so much blood, right? The crimson mask of pro wrestling, all down his face. If he could see anything at all, I thought that would have been a much better fight. So I'm actually. I feel like I'm in the minority, but I feel like we kind of didn't learn as much as maybe we think we did from that first fight. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah.
Are we overestimating Velasquez because of what he did a year ago?
I don't think so. I think what Cain showed in that fight is how much of a badass he is. You know what I mean? That was his first fight back from his first loss in his career.
That's the way to look at it. Yeah, that's true.
I see the same thing pretty much happening, but in the second round.
Just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're Antonio Silva, you have to be training your wrestling. I mean, right?
Yeah.
So you should be a little bit
better. Which would almost be like a waste of time.
Almost.
Kind of, right? Like you just practiced your takedown defense for 6 months and you find out in 2 minutes that it doesn't even matter.
Right? Cain's been wrestling since he was 5 years old or whatever.
Yeah, he should have been working on something else. I don't know. It's a weird way to think about it.
I don't know. It's hard for me to see all the any advantages that Bigfoot has in this fight.
Yeah, I don't either.
I just see Cain really just running through him, kind of.
Yeah, How many? So it does not go to the judges' scorecard. You don't know?
I don't think so. 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, not heavyweights.
Junior Dos Santos lasted, but I don't think Antonio Silva will.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be. I don't know. It should be an interesting fight. I don't know.
Raising Cain.
Raising Cain. Let me ask you this. So we're both leaning toward Cain Velasquez to win somewhere in the second round. Let's play devil's advocate for me, Cale Loveridge. How could Antonio Bigfoot Silva win this fight in a perfect sort of scenario? Like, what happens? How does he do this if he doesn't?
He doesn't get taken down. He stops Cain Velasquez somehow. He slows Cain Velasquez down enough to like box him.
Yeah.
Get him into kind of like a boxing slugfest thing.
No, he shouldn't go to the ground with him, right? I mean, he shouldn't take him down.
Silva,
anything like that.
I don't want to
Silva
say it
good
wrong.
on top?
I think Silva has a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
He
or
does,
something.
yeah.
Yes, and so he's no slouch. But I think Cain's top control. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think Antonio can take Cain down.
Yeah.
I don't. That's.
It's
not
almost
happening.
like any
that's-
situation.
That's pretty much not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like any situation you imagine them getting into, whether they're on the ground. If Antonio say for a minute that Antonio Silva is on top of Cain Velasquez at some point in this fight, doesn't Cain Velasquez just kind of quickly just flip that? Don't you? I mean, can't you? Isn't that the easier thing to imagine than Silva maintaining top control for any kind of long period of time? Isn't it easier to imagine it the other way?
I don't know, because you remember when Bigfoot fought Fedor?
Yeah.
Fedor's a damn good sambo dude,
right.
Awesome world champion sambo guy.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
He was mounted by Bigfoot and couldn't get out, you know?
Yeah.
And got pummeled. So if he gets on top of you, man, that's a huge guy. But I mean, I don't even like. The thing is, I don't even like to play devil's advocate in this role, honestly, because Cain's just too good.
Yeah.
They're setting up Cain Velasquez Jr. Dos Santos 3.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do.
Which will be awesome.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, which might be. Let's segue then. Not a lot to say about that one. Kind of a lopsided fight. You know, as far as main events go.
Yep.
We're both taking Cain Velasquez round 2.
I say round 2.
I'll say round 2 by something. Elbows, punches. TKO stoppage. All right. And you know, if Silva lasts any longer than that, good for him. But yeah, I don't know if either guy's worth your money, really, just because of the randomness of a fight and just the long odds for both guys. You know, but if you're feeling zesty, you know, maybe
froggy.
If you're feeling a little froggy,
take a leap.
Cain Velasquez, maybe just make a quick. You might call it easy money.
$100.
If you want to make a quick $100,
you only have to have 750.
It's an investment.
Nah,
so.
you gotta look for them dogs.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, let's move on to the next fight, the co-main event. Junior Dos Santos, who you just mentioned, taking on Mark, the Super Samoan Hunt.
My boy.
Dos Santos, a 4.5 to 1 favorite. Mark Hunt, 3 to 1 underdog. I am most excited. This is this fight on the card I think that I'm most excited to see. That's kind of where I stand right now.
This is gonna be
How do you feel about that? I mean, it might only last like a minute.
I think
Who knows? Who knows? Really, it could go 3 rounds.
I see it going the distance.
Do you?
Yeah, I see just Junior Dos Santos kind of like beating Mark Hunt up a little bit. You know, taking a few shots. It's hard to call too, man. Because if Mark Hunt punches him,
yeah,
he's going down. And if Junior Dos Santos catches Mark Hunt right, he can knock him out for sure. Like he punches that hard. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the last time we saw Dos Santos was against Velasquez, and there was a great Twitter thing of his, like a slideshow of his face after each round.
Oh yeah.
And it just progressively he was unrecognizable by the end of the fight.
I know.
And that was his last fight. How do you feel like he's going to come back from that? Cain Velasquez lost to him and came back like a monster in his next fight. How does Dos Santos respond to it? Like a pretty epic
losing
beatdown.
His belt, you know?
He lost his belt and he got
an epic beatdown.
He kind of got his ass kicked by Cain Velasquez.
Oh, he got his ass kicked, that's for sure.
Has he lost confidence? I mean, could that be...
I don't think so. I mean, he only had 1 loss before that, so...
Yeah, how do you see this one going, man? This is a tough one to...
I just think Junior Dos Santos is too quick and stuff with his boxing, you know? Because Mark Hunt's not going to take him down.
Right.
Like Cain did, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the problem with Mark Hunt, I think. I don't think he's Plus, man, Junior Santos is a big dude, man.
Yeah, he is.
Mark
huge.
Hunt's only like, I don't know, I forget, 5'11" or something. You know, he's not even that tall. It's gonna.
I want to see Mark Hunt fight Roy Nelson at some point.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Like if Mark Hunt loses this fight and Roy Nelson wins his next fight,
they should fight.
They should fight like at Christmas time, like New
awesome.
Year, Happy New Year. Here's Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson.
Two big bellies versus each other.
Yeah, and yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, what do you think of those odds? Minus 450, plus 325 for Mark Hunt. Do those seem right to you, or do you feel like is there some value in Mark Hunt? I feel like there could be.
I feel like if there's any value in almost anyone in this card, it's Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another one that we'll talk about later that I think is pretty valuable too. But I think plus 325, he's got more of a chance than that.
Yeah.
You know, he's 4-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Junior Dos Santos coming off losing his belt.
It's gonna be a
if Mark Hunt
slugfest.
Yeah, if Mark Hunt
these guys are gonna go for it.
Catches Dos Santos right, he'll knock him out for sure. You know.
Yeah. Winner probably gets a shot at the title.
This is one of those ones that's so hard to call because you really don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
It could go a couple different ways.
Yeah. It won't be a slow, boring fight. It'll be a edge of your seat kind of fight where every time either guy does anything, you sort of just expect like maybe that could be the end of it, you know?
I think it's Junior Dos Santos, Roy Nelson again.
It could be.
He just
really?
beat him up for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
You know? and
that's a good...
And Roy Nelson was throwing some hard ones, but he just got beat up for 3 rounds.
That's a good model, actually, maybe for this fight. You know, I mean, because Roy Nelson's got that knockout power.
That's how I see it. That's how exactly.
Mark
how I
Hunt's
see it.
got the same thing.
Dos Santos is quick, man. He's fast.
I know. You know the thing about him that's almost like you almost can't miss is his big wide stance. His feet are like yards apart. You know, I mean, he's guarding again. And he's just ready to kind of sidestep, hop around. Yeah, I think Dos Santos' jab, you know, will probably keep Mark Hunt at distance a little bit. Mark Hunt's got more than a puncher's chance. You know, we wouldn't say he's only got a puncher's chance. He's got more than that.
This guy's a freaking world champion.
K1 Grand Prix champion at some point.
You can't
4-fight win streak.
You can't say Junior Dos Santos is a better stand-up striker. I just think like within the MMA realm and stuff or whatever, where he's gonna need he's gonna do what he needs to do to win.
Yeah.
You know, and when Junior Dos Santos fought Shane Carwin, he was 2 for 2 on takedowns.
Yeah. So
you know,
if
he
got
wants
that.
to, he can
he's
take
got
down
that
Mark Hunt.
probably.
Mark Hunt's not taking him down.
No. And Mark Hunt has been fighting, you know, lesser competition. We should probably mention, right? His win streak started with a win over Chris Tucherer, who is no longer in the UFC. He beat Joey Beltran, I think, unless I'm thinking of somebody else. You know, then Stefan Struve, who he probably...
No, he beat Czech Congo.
Oh, Czech Congo, right.
There you go.
Who is also no longer with UFC.
Czech Congo, Stefan Struve.
And he probably should have lost to Stefan Struve, I think.
He didn't.
I mean, I'm sort of defending the best bet a little bit.
He broke his jaw, man.
He definitely didn't lose to Stefan Struve, but he should have, maybe, if Stefan Struve was less of like an idiot.
I don't know.
And I would invite Stefan Struve onto the podcast to defend my...
To defend yourself, Struve.
To defend my statement. All right, so make your pick.
Dos Santos
decision.
Unanimous.
I'm thinking the same. I'm gonna go with you on that one. Dos Santos decision. I think there'll be a moment or two where Mark Hunt makes you think.
We're like, oh, wait, nah.
Yeah, and then Dos Santos will back up or circle
shake
away
his head.
or
say no.
Yeah, just shake his head at him. Just nah. Yeah. I think there'll be a moment or two where Mark Hunt shows something, but the longer the fight goes, I feel like the more Dos Santos will impose himself on the fight. All right, so Cain Velasquez, Dos Santos, right, is what we're thinking.
Oh, they're definitely
setting that up.
They're definitely setting that up.
Christmas, New Year's Eve kind of thing?
Something like that,
Some kind of big card? Yeah, seems about right. All right, moving down the card, light heavyweights, 205, Glover Teixeira, making his return to the UFC since his last fight over Rampage, against James Tahuna from Australia. And this is where I'd like to mention that we're actually drinking Foster's. Right?
In honor of this fight.
In honor of this card, right? We know Mark Hunt is from New Zealand, but it's pretty close to Australia.
In honor of James Tahuna and Mark Hunt, we're drinking Foster's.
Yeah.
I think they drink Foster's in New Zealand.
I think probably.
What's New Zealand's beer?
I don't know.
Triggies! New Zealand for beer! I don't know.
All I know is I was in Publix today.
Yeah.
Picking up beer for the show, because
Nice.
we drink some beers during the podcast.
Wait, I think it's a tradition.
It's a tradition now. And my decision was made based on the fighters on the fight card. I was like, oh, let's get some Fosters. I almost got some other stuff, but...
You could have got some Brazilian or, some
And just so everybody can picture us, we're drinking the oil cans, the Foster's oil
Yeah.
cans you can buy at like a gas station.
Yes.
Premium.
The green ones, not the
green
blue.
ones, not the blue. The green
Yes.
premium ale.
We're high class.
So if you want to be cool like us, go to your local gas station and buy
You hear
Foster's
kids?
oil cans.
Foster's oil cans.
I'm hoping Foster's will send us like a free case.
That would be
we just
sweet.
hyped up their beer. So Glover Teixeira, James Tahuna.
Two beasts.
This should be awesome. This is kind of like a smaller version of the Dos Santos Mark Hunt fight.
Yes.
Like it's probably not going to go to the ground. You know, it's going to be two guys.
You know what I think though?
Made of circles.
I think
who
Glover's,
are just sort of
Glover's
going
smart
after
though,
each
man.
other.
Glover's
Yeah.
smart. He's a smart fighter. He's gonna take this guy to the ground.
That's what I was going to ask you a
He
question
is.
around that.
Yeah.
idea.
The first thing I thought when it was Glover was supposed to fight someone else.
Mhm.
I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I'll remember in a minute. I know it. And Tahuna stepped in. It was gonna be Glover, and oh man, it was gonna be a great fight. But I
I
forget
don't remember
now.
who it was either.
But
yeah,
Tahuna stepped in. This is the biggest fight of Tahuna's career for sure.
totally. Oh, hands
Yeah.
down. Yeah,
But Tahuna's a beast, man. And
I like
that-
Tahuna.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I kind of wish that they weren't fighting just because I like him. You know, I wish that he wasn't fighting Glover Teixeira.
I see-
Although it's going to be a sick fight. It's gonna
I
be
see
awesome.
what you got here, and that's exactly what
Do
I'm
you s-
thinking.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking right here. 4 or 5 losses by submission.
James Tahuna has 4 of 5 of his losses have come by submission. The other one was a disqualification.
He's-
I looked it up for fence grabbing.
He's 16-5 with 4 of 5 losses. Basically, all his real losses were by sub.
by submission.
And I don't think Glover's going to sub him, but he's going to
No.
pound him and maybe do like Kyle Kingsbury in his,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the mistake. Remember, if you're putting money on this stuff, you have to take account of every angle, right? And Glover Teixeira, the first thing that comes to 90% of people's minds when you say Glover Teixeira is stand-up, fighting, punching, etc. Right? What everybody seems to forget, or maybe even just goes unnoticed because of that other stuff, is that he has 5 of those 20 wins. 25% of his wins are by submission.
Yep. Including his first one in the UFC.
Including his first UFC win against Kyle Kingsbury, who's not no joke. Like, Kyle Kingsbury's a good fighter, and he submitted him, I think it was like an arm lock or something.
Arm triangle.
Arm triangle, yeah. Submitted Kyle Kingsbury. So, I mean,
And he
we think
mounted-
of Teixeira as a stand-up guy maybe only, if you don't remember enough about him or you don't, look at his other fights and stuff. But he can definitely submit him. And when you kind of pair that up with Tahuna, with most of all of his losses essentially coming by submission, then you get a really interesting trend right there. And that's the kind of stuff when you're betting actual money on these things that you need to zero in on. You know what I mean? Like, that seems like a really important detail that you're not going to see in some UFC promo. Because they're not hyping this fight that way.
No.
So you have to almost separate yourself from like the previews for the fight from like what these guys can actually do.
If you remember too, when Glover fought Rampage, he stood up with him, but he ended up taking him down a bunch too.
Just to keep him on his toes. Even,
there was
yeah.
There's a lot of stand up in that fight, but he took him down a bunch too. Which he's a smart fighter. Like he took Kingsbury down. He beat him up. He beat him up on the feet.
Yeah. I mean, he's 20-2. He's on an 18 fight win streak.
Crazy.
Yeah, Glover Teixeira, 18 fight win streak.
The first time I saw him, he knocked out Sakaju in some smaller promotion.
Yeah, that was way back in this 18 too.
Yeah,
that was like 15 fights ago.
Yeah, that was the first
and
time
he was
I saw
knocking
him.
out Sokaju.
Yeah, that was
had
crazy.
His stint, he had his 15.
That was before Sakaju was famous too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before his Pride fights and everything. That's actually how Sakaju became famous. He came in and he knocked out Ricardo Arona. Well, first he knocked out. I think it was Ricardo Arona and Nogueira. I think it might have been Nogueira Arona though, and knocked them both out within like a couple minutes in the first round in Pride, and people were freaking like, "Oh, this guy's great."
Yeah.
But
the
little
odds.
did they know he's already been knocked out by another guy, Glover Teixeira, who you didn't even hear about for another like 6 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true, right? I mean, Sokaju definitely got ahead of Teixeira, like popularity wise, for a while there.
Oh yeah.
So Glover Teixeira, I didn't read the odds. He's minus 310 against James Tahuna, who's an underdog, plus 240. The more I'm talking about this, the more I feel a little bit like those are pretty good odds on Glover Teixeira, right? I was just thinking while you were talking there a minute that when you have two strikers like we have with Dos Santos and Hunt, and to a large degree Teixeira and Tahuna, right? When you have two strikers, when you have two guys involved in fights that could end so quickly because of those striking abilities, that the underdogs become very attractive. Especially if you're talking about a guy like Mark Hunt or James Tahuna, you know, like they're intriguing underdogs, even though they're underdogs, just because it's a stand-up fight. You know, this is not a ground fight where it takes a little while for you to get into position to submit somebody or to get into a position where you can ground and pound. This is something that can happen in a split second.
Even to some degree, Antonio Silva.
Yes, Silva too.
I mean, Junior Dos Santos knocked out didn't knock out Cain Velasquez, but pretty much with that one right hand had him done.
Yeah.
I mean, that one right hand. So you can't sit here and say, well,
exactly.
You know, Antonio Silva has no chance against Cain Velasquez. I just think that Cain Velasquez is smarter
to avoid that.
But if you're to say, there's no way Silva's going to knock out Cain, that's stupid. Mm-hmm. He has a full.
Yeah, he's got
a 50% chance of knocking him out.
His hands are the size of our Foster's oil cans.
It's crazy.
Maybe like two of them together. You don't want to get hit by that.
Yeah,
that's bad news.
No.
So I don't know. I'm not even sure what I'm getting at with this. I just feel like Tahuna is a dangerous fighter for Teixeira, unless Teixeira can take Tahuna to the ground and pretty much keep him there, because we can look at the records and see that if that's what happens, that Teixeira will probably beat Tahuna on the ground. He'll probably submit him or TKO him or something.
I'm not in Glover's corner here, but I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that he should probably come out and try for some takedowns against this guy.
So this is like one of those fights where you get really excited for it, and then you realize that detail about what happens.
Man, Glover might just come out and take him down and just pound him.
This might not be the fight that I have in my mind, right? Mm-hmm. But as bettors, putting money on this stuff, we have to think about it that way.
You have to analyze it.
You have to analyze it. This is not something you should be doing at the last minute, you know? So hopefully you're listening to our podcast, where we're enlightening you now on these little details.
You better be.
I mean, another interesting thing, though...
I will fine you.
I mean, just to kind of work against everything we just said, James Tahuna has only lost by submission, so he's never been knocked out. And if Glover Teixeira decides that he's going to try to do that, it might not work out. You know what I mean? So I feel like what we need to figure out is how Teixeira is going to approach this fight. That'll make all the difference.
I see it in my head for some reason. I see Glover winning a unanimous decision.
Unanimous?
Yeah, and James Tahuna kind of getting tired. He's been getting...
Yeah, he gets gassed out.
Yeah, he gets gassed out. He's really super muscular.
He's also traveling from Australia.
Yeah, which you
can't just...
And Glover lives here now.
Yeah, and you can't just write off the fact that a dude's coming all the way from Australia.
That's a gnarly flight, man.
Yeah, if you've ever 22 hours.
If you've ever flown anywhere, flying sucks.
Australia to Las Vegas.
Yeah, if you have to land a couple times and get layovers and do all that and different time zone and all that, man, it messes you up. It fucks with your head.
It's like a different day when you take off, and then it's the same day later.
Is it Tuesday or Friday?
Yeah,
you know,
it becomes that's what happens when you go from Australia to
and fighters are
Las Vegas.
People too.
You
like
3 days.
He's probably not getting wasted in the airport.
Suddenly
like
it's like you're going. It's Friday again. Yeah, you're hanging out.
You're like, it just was Friday.
You're like, wait, what? Yeah, so it's weird, right? So
why is it still light out?
Yeah, you can't discount that stuff. So I mean, a couple things working against Tahuna there. So
he's
going
east to west.
Which never works, right?
Nope.
We've seen it with the Japanese guys. Those Japanese guys.
Those
can't travel.
Those Japanese fellers.
Can't travel and fight very good.
Poor guys.
But
unless you are Yushin Okami, for some reason.
Yeah, he's like immune to it.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's figured it out somehow.
I think him and Chael Sonnen have been hanging out too much.
Yeah.
He's starting to get Americanized.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what's your pick here? What are you thinking?
Glover. The Rover Teixeira.
I heard if you find a 4-leaf Glover,
It's good luck.
that it's good luck.
He's gonna decision Tahuna.
Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking Teixeira will win.
James the Tuna Tahuna.
James the Tuna Tahuna. I'm taking Teixeira too. I'm taking 4-leaf Glover.
Or should we call him Albacore Tahuna?
James Albacore Tahuna. That's a pretty good nickname. You should take it. You should consider it. Yeah, I'm taking Teixeira, but not the odds. I'm not taking it on the odds. I think Tahuna's a worthy underdog. But I don't know. Maybe just stay with the safe side.
I've got another twist on this.
A third twist?
Yes, a third twist. We're gonna
if we're counting twists.
Just because the names are so awesome, we're gonna ask Sophia.
Okay.
Sophia, is Glover Teixeira or James Tahuna gonna win?
Speak loudly.
Just yell it.
By the way, this is while she thinks about it.
My girlfriend Sophia, who has no...
who has been listening to this whole thing.
Who has absolutely no idea who these people are. Or
clueless. She just learned what the UFC was a few hours ago.
I don't know anything about
James Tahuna.
So I'm just going to say the guy that's from Australia.
Nice.
You're taking the guy from Australia.
Because of the Fosters.
Because of the beer.
Because of the beer. There you go.
Oh, man.
Because we're drinking Fosters.
Wow.
And James Tahuna is from Australia.
She just blew my mind, man.
James Tahuna is going to win. So, that's one way to look at it.
Apparently we're wrong.
We might be wrong.
We know nothing.
It's good to have somebody around to go the other direction. Make you think a little bit.
Alright, just remember, next week we'll make a little note. Her pick so far
if
is James
Tahuna is
Tahuna.
right, we're going to bring Sophia back.
Yes, she will pick all of our fights from
she'll
now
pick
on.
all of them. Yeah.
Just by name.
Yeah. So, alright, well, we're going with Teixeira, probably just because he seems to have more ways to win.
Yep.
And better cardio. Just those couple little factors.
Plus, I just want to pick against her now, for some reason.
Yeah, there you go. That'll make it fun. Keep things interesting between you guys.
Somebody's going to be mad.
The next fight down on the card, we get the last two fights are lightweight fights. We have Gray Maynard versus T.J. Grant for a #1 contender fight. The winner of this fight gets a shot at Benson smoothing my hair back during fights.
Yes.
Henderson.
Toothpick, a.k.a. Toothpick.
Yeah, toothpick in my mouth, Henderson. So the winner of this fight between Gray Maynard and T.J. Grant gets a shot at Benson Henderson.
I always thought Gray Maynard sounded just like an aristocratic name or something, you know? This is Sir Gray Maynard.
He's a senator
of Loxley. No,
Of
more
Loxley.
yeah.
He's stealing from the rich to give to the poor.
Yeah, or something like that. He sounds
Is
like
that even the right reference?
he doesn't sound like a fighter. I don't know why. It always.
Someone keeping track of these references?
There's too many.
Yeah, Gray Maynard, a slight favorite, -210. He's 11-1-1 all time. He's taking on T.J. Grant, a slight underdog. This is the closest fight according to the bookmakers of the night. T.J. Grant +170.
+170. Gray Maynard is 11-1-1. Do you know what the extra one is? Do you remember what that's
I remember
from?
the extra one.
Yes.
The draw on like New Year's Day against Frankie Edgar, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes. No, wait.
One loss to Frankie Edgar and a draw to Frankie Edgar. That's the fight where he crushed Edgar in the first round. A 10-8 first round.
Okay, what
and
happened?
then Edgar won the next 4 rounds.
Do you remember on the Ultimate Fighter finale when he knocked himself out?
With the takedown?
Yes.
I do.
And he broke the guy's rib and they were both done?
And they both got like a double
I thought
KO.
that was his one. I forgot about the draw.
Which, by the way...
What is that? What did that end up being?
I don't know if that counted because it was on the Ultimate Fighter.
But it was on the finale. It wasn't on the fighter. It was on the finale.
Maybe they just wrote that off or something.
Wow.
Like a little asterisk.
His record might be... Maybe he's 11-1.
Maybe he's 11-1-2.
1.
Oh, and 1.
And 1.
Yeah.
Extra 1.
Extra 1. Possibly. Yeah, 1-1 and... So, and to add to this...
Let's just hold on. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Him and Mark Kerr are the only guys I've ever seen knock themselves out. They literally knocked themselves out during a takedown.
Yeah.
He knocked himself unconscious against Rob Emerson. I don't know. I don't remember
that
this.
guy doing?
Yeah, I think he's a DJ or something.
He's DJing somewhere.
He's DJing in Port St. Lucie.
Where?
And Mark Kerr did it against a Japanese guy who, after Mark Kerr knocked himself out, the Japanese guy got up and ran around like he just did something.
He won.
Yeah, like he won. Like he got up and ran around and was jumping on the ropes and stuff. It was pretty ridiculous.
He really just rolled right. He just parlayed.
He literally got took down, and Mark Kerr knocked himself out, and the guy jumped up like he did. I planned that. He DDT'd him.
Yeah, that's his.
Move. He did the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man. Yeah, this is an interesting fight. This is a really good fight. I'm looking forward to this one too.
The bearded one.
I'm looking forward to this whole card.
TJ Grant has an awesome beard.
Yeah, he's got a great beard, which makes me automatically favor TJ Grant.
Right? Makes me kind of want to pick him now.
Yeah,
just because his beard's awesome.
It's just nice, solid beard.
It seems to be working.
He's Canadian.
It seems to be working, the beard in the UFC.
I was going to write a thing about that.
Roy Nelson, Mike Chesney.
Crossed my mind. I was going to do the bearded fighter in the UFC.
Grant.
How do they fare?
Johnny Hendricks. Should I keep going?
There's a lot of dudes.
I think I'm going to grow a beard.
Grow a beard, dude.
I'm halfway there.
Check it out.
I feel tougher, at least.
It prevents you from, wear and tear. From life.
The punches drift right off.
Yeah, exactly. So TJ Grant, he's Canadian, which makes me. Oof. I always, Canadian. You think GSP, but there's a lot. It's almost like there's a lot of good Canadian fighters, really.
And TJ Grant was a 170.
Mark Hominick. I mean, and before he just totally fell off the cliff, but he was good.
TJ Grant fought at 170 pounds first, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about that actually. Can we talk about that?
Was he 4-4 or 2-2 or something? I forget. I think
he was 2-2 at 170.
Yeah, he had 4 fights. I couldn't remember if he was 4-4.
He had 4 fights. TJ Grant had 4 fights at 170. And he's now dropped to 155 pounds, and he's got a 4-fight winning streak going since dropping from welterweight.
Tough fucking dudes, man.
And here's the guys he lost to at welterweight, right? He lost a unanimous decision to Ricardo Almeida. That's one sort of highlight. And he lost a majority decision to Johnny Hendricks.
That's gnarly.
So TJ Grant, I'm just going to repeat, plus 170. This is a guy to kind of keep your eye on here. I mean, he almost beat Johnny Hendricks. He lost to a unanimous decision to Ricardo Almeida at this point a couple of years ago, and he's in the middle of a 4-fight win streak right now. So he's an interesting fighter. I mean, I think when people heard this was going to be number 1 contender fight at first, they were like, TJ Grant, like why is he?
Who is that? Yeah,
who is TJ Grant?
TJ Grant.
He's been in the UFC since 2009.
That's nuts.
So who the hell's TJ Grant? I feel like I've only just heard of him in the last year. And he's been in for 4 years.
Because he was a mediocre welterweight.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he didn't.
I mean, not even mediocre. That seems like a strong word.
He didn't fight that long ago.
Yeah.
But if you're 2-2, that's 500. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty mediocre for the UFC.
But Johnny Hendricks, Ricardo Almeida, some other guy. I mean, these are not. I don't know who.
The thing is, obviously, he's not a big welterweight. If he's able to drop to 155.
Yeah. Probably outsized.
Yeah.
So that would mean he's probably a big lightweight.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So is Gray Maynard. And
Maynard didn't TJ Grant beat Miller his last fight? Did he beat Jim Miller?
No, that was Jim Miller.
He beat
should have written it down.
Dan Miller, I thought. Didn't he stop him?
No, that was Jordan Mean.
Oh man,
you're getting all mixed up.
I'm getting all mixed up.
TJ Grant, Matt Wyman. He beat Matt Wyman. He mauled Matt Wyman.
That's right.
Who
I knew it was a veteran. I was trying to look for the veteran name.
At that point, Matt Wyman was on his own little sort of momentum thing, right? He was winning pretty good, making it look good, and TJ Grant beat him up pretty good.
Oh, I remember that.
So
didn't we watch that together?
We may have watched it together.
He kind of did just maul him, right?
Yeah.
I tend to not remember the ones we watched together.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I think I know.
A couple interesting things here, right? This came up a little bit with Teixeira and Tehuna, right? These interesting little matchups, right? These little trends. Gray Maynard 1-1-1 in his last 3, right? Which is kind of weird. He only fought once in 2012 against Clay Guida.
He's been out a long time.
He's been out a while. Ring rust is a definite factor with Gray Maynard.
I think it was his knee. Did you look that up at all?
A knee injury?
Yeah,
it might
I'm
have been.
sure. I'm pretty sure it was his knee.
It might have been, but
Yeah.
I mean, he only fought once. He beat Clay Guida by split decision
Horrible fight.
in a super boring fight. I mean, Clay Guida. I'm sorry, everybody, but he's
It wasn't
boring.
Gray's fault.
Clay Guida is a boring fighter,
Now he is.
unless he's getting beat up by somebody.
When he first came in the
Then he's
UFC,
exciting.
he was a badass, though, man.
So, Gray Maynard, 9 of his 11 total wins have been by decision.
I
I put a
know.
question mark and an exclamation point right next to each other. Do you see what I'm going at with that? 9 of 11 by decision?
I think he might be a little out of line with that, the question mark, and
I think that's too much.
I think that was
That's
a
my
little too
reaction.
much. Other than that,
I mean, he wins.
no,
Wins.
I
He's
think
boring. I think people think he's boring
I
sometimes.
think it's going to be hard for Gray to get a decision over TJ Grant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going to have to finish TJ Grant if he's going to win, I think.
You think?
Because TJ Grant has the ability to grind like Gray Maynard wants to. He might even
TJ
be
Grant
more
can
of a grinder.
do Gray Maynard's
That's what I
game.
mean.
Yeah.
TJ Grant
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Gray Maynard.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing.
In a way, yeah.
Which is
Does he
weird.
have? Maybe he has more ways to win. Does TJ Grant have more ways to win?
I just like, for
Man.
some reason, I'm starting to lean towards him. When we started the podcast, I had thought about it a lot, and I thought that Gray Maynard was probably just going to squeak by, just being a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
like kind of like more muscular.
Yeah. Well, he's strong. We can't discount that. Gray Maynard
Man.
is one of those that's kind of like.
And plus, if
he
just-
is the bully.
Plus,
So
I don't know how many fights he's had in the UFC, but I guarantee he's had probably like 8 fights in the UFC or something like that. He's had
Who,
a
Grant?
Gray Maynard.
Oh, Maynard. Yeah.
He's had probably most of all his fights in his professional career have been in the UFC.
Yeah.
So he's comfortable there, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Not that TJ Grant isn't. It's just like,
Yeah. He's been around just as long almost.
it's a hard pick, man.
It's a tough fight. I think if we're sitting here and we're like, oh, this is really tough. I don't know who's gonna win.
On a
Then
strictly
if you're betting,
betting standpoint, I was going to say that.
TJ Grant,
Right.
plus 170, you're getting more money than you're betting if you're betting on him. And because I mean, we're sitting here, we can't really decide. It's a tough fight to call.
Look, TJ Grant's had 25 professional fights.
He's 20-5.
He's had 13.
Yeah,
Gray Maynard's had 13. You got to take that into account, too.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I
No.
love TJ Grant as an underdog pick on this card.
I'm going to
Don't put your mortgage on it or anything.
No.
But like, you got some money sitting around.
Don't
you
bet the
feel like
house.
kind of betting some money on something.
It's a great bargain.
It's a good bar. Yeah, yeah, and that's the
Plus
whole point.
170, you know?
That's the whole point, right? We're looking for value on this card.
The
you
only
know?
value, I said that earlier, the only value I see in this card is right here. I said we'll talk about it
Yeah,
later.
yep.
The only value I see in the card is TJ Grant.
Yeah, I
If
think
you're
otherwise.
gonna bet and you're gonna put some kind of prop on somebody,
Any kind of yeah.
it might
TJ
as well-
Grant,
it might as well be TJ Grant.
he might be your best investment. So
He's the only underdog I see who has a great chance of winning. Not just like
Yeah. not a puncher's chance or
he's
something
got
a
a
little
great
bit more than
chance to
that.
like
He's
really
got-
dominate and win.
right. Yeah, he totally could, and especially when you think of his career at 170, you know, and just how much strength he probably has. Because I think that's the thing everybody thinks about Gray Maynard. He's just strong. He's just going to wrestle you, clinch you, slow things down a lot. You know, I think TJ Grant can compete in the same areas. You know what I mean? So,
Oh yeah.
Nice. So, all right. So my pick, I'm actually going TJ Grant. I think TJ Grant wins this fight. I think Gray Maynard has peaked to some degree. I think he's found his level, you know, against guys like Clay Guida, Frankie Edgar, these sort of 3 to 7 type guys. If you're going with the rankings kind of thing, I feel like he can beat those guys, but he can't beat the top guys. And I feel like TJ Grant his trajectory is positive, and I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win a decision.
I'm gonna go with you, man.
Nice, we're both taking TJ Grant.
Yep, upset pick of the
Wow.
night, TJ
Yeah,
Grant.
pay attention to TJ Grant.
He's the man. And
Pay for your beer and wings with TJ Grant.
TJ Grant money.
Yeah, TJ Grant money.
Nice. You
Yeah.
get a TJ Grant and
Yeah, apply for a TJ Grant Saturday night.
and get some
pay for
free
your
wings
money.
and what.
Yeah, that
Alright.
should be. We should work that into his nickname.
We have to go to girlfriend Sophia.
Sophia,
Gray or TJ?
I think she's twittering on her phone.
She's
You
on
guys should
Twitter.
Follow her.
Tweet.
Tweet.
She's on
Gray Maynard
Maynard.
or TJ Grant.
TJ Grant.
Based on names. Remember.
Based on names, because I wasn't listening at all.
Do you like the name TJ? Is that a cool name
I
for
really
you?
don't. No, it's
Ooh.
that's kind of a douchebag.
What about the name Gray?
Ooh, a DV name.
What about the name Gray, which is...
Gray Maynard.
Not only is Gray the most boring color,
Wow.
it's kind of a boring name.
I feel like
Grey's
she's
Anatomy.
leaning
Grey's
towards
Anatomy.
Gray.
Okay, so what are you thinking? What do you...
with Gray.
Gray
Wow.
Maynard. Sophia taking Gray Maynard.
So far, she has picked the opposite.
Because TJ Grant has such a boring name,
Yeah.
but Gray Maynard... Now that he could be a doctor, that guy. Just to put the logic in front of everyone.
Very analytical.
Just to put it all out there. All right, well, you know, it's a worthy.
We're gonna see.
Perspective. He could win. He could. He's the favorite. He's the favorite.
This
You guys
is our
might split
study.
1-1.
This is our study in overanalyzation.
Mm-hmm.
Are we overanalyzing
Yes.
these picks?
Yeah.
Because strictly name-based, she has gone the other way twice.
Twice. I know. Maybe we're not taking their names into account as much as we should.
We're gonna find out. This is
Maybe that's really what it all comes down to.
We're in the 6th grade, and we have a science fair project due.
Whoever's names produces more Scrabble points. That's the secret to picking fights, you guys. We just somehow we arrived at this.
Gray Maynard is worth way more than TJ Grant, apparently.
Apparently. All right, last fight. Last fight on
Awesome
the card.
fight.
Yeah, great fight. Donald the Cowboy Cerrone taking on Strikeforce import KJ Noons. The odds, real quick. Cerrone minus 325 favorite. KJ Noons plus 250 underdog. I always like to mention when we know, when it's clear and obvious what fight camps these guys are coming out of, because I think that matters. Donald Cerrone fighting out of Jackson's MMA. And I would also add, I read an article recently that he's been seeing a sports psychologist.
I
Ever since his Diaz loss.
Yeah.
Because he feels like his mental approach maybe lets him down sometimes when he finally gets into the ring and starts fighting these guys.
Coming off the first knockout loss of his career.
Yeah.
Liver kick against
Anthony Pettis. Who is on a different level.
Who is somehow dropping down to fight Jose Aldo.
He's going to beat him.
Strange.
Anthony Pettis will be the next
We'll talk about that another time.
That'll be a different card, but you heard what I just said. That's my take on it. Yeah, so he's fighting out of Greg Jackson's camp, which means he should have a solid game plan. He should know how he needs to win this fight. KJ Noons, on the other hand, has lost 2 in a row and 4 of his last 5 in Strikeforce.
Former professional boxer.
It's worth noting.
Yep.
And this is his UFC debut. So.
And he was actually the Strikeforce lightweight champion for a while.
Yeah, for a minute.
Yeah.
Back in the Diaz,
Nick
Diaz days.
It's just, he's really gone, I don't want to say downhill, but he's just, 4 of 6.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. I mean...
4 of his 6 losses.
By decision.
He's lost 4 of his last 5. He's just getting outworked.
He's getting outworked.
You can't box. I mean, this is 2013 MMA. You can't just bring boxing to the table.
A lot of people thought he beat Ryan Couture in their last fight.
Yeah, he probably did. Based on watching Ryan Couture fight, it's hard to imagine KJ Noons losing to.
Yeah, Ryan Couture was less than impressive in his UFC debut. You could say that.
Yeah,
easily.
a little more defensive, or something.
Very unimpressive.
So the fact that KJ Noons lost to him, even if it was controversial, I mean, it must have been close. You know what I mean? If it was close, like really.
This is
KJ
my
Noons.
thing. I don't know what Donald Cerrone is going to show up because he used to show up.
Yeah.
In his past couple of fights, he hasn't really shown up. Even the ones he's won, he hasn't really
No, you're totally right. He's
been the
inconsistent.
same guy as the
He's
WEC.
a little inconsistent.
It's bad. When guys go through wars, you can't have a war every fight.
No.
Almost every Donald Cerrone fight is a war, and that starts to wear on you. I mean,
yeah. I think he's 30 years old. I read today. He's 30.
It sounds
Less
bad.
you thought
it sounds
he was younger.
bad, but that's old for an MMA fighter.
Yeah, it is. John Jones is like 26 or something.
The people who are gonna be really great and good are 22, 23, 21 years old.
We're about to see another generation turn pretty soon, right? Anderson Silva's 37 or something.
I know.
He's the exception to every rule. So is Randy Couture, but there's not that many other guys who are like that. We saw Chuck Liddell fall off real hard in his mid-30s. Cerrone's approaching the 30s. KJ Noons is older, I think, actually.
Yeah, no, he is.
So this could be a great fight to start the card. Because it could be a standing fight. KJ Noons is going to want to keep it standing.
If this is what I see. If Cerrone's smart, he wins the first, maybe even second round with more kicks and stuff. Maybe they're kind of even with their boxing, but he gets some good body kicks. Maybe like almost lands a head kick, blah blah blah, kicks the shit out of his legs.
Yeah.
And then maybe in round 3 he gets a couple takedowns on KJ Noons because Donald Cerrone has that shit, that repertoire. But he doesn't always use it.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to get to with this. Is just real quick, KJ Noons' his last 5 fights have gone to decision. And he has 4 of his 6 losses are by decision. So going to a decision is not good for KJ Noons. Across the ring, or across the cage, I guess. Donald Cerrone, he's only 3-2 in his last 5. He's been fighting tough guys. He's got an incredible fight history if you go look at the names and stuff. But 13 of his 19 wins are by submission. Wow. I was kind of surprised to read that. I mean, we've seen him fight and stuff before, but like you said, he doesn't always show the skills that he has. 13 of 19 fights by submission?
Yeah.
And you're fighting a boxer?
Yeah. Who
doesn't have much, I mean, once you get him to the ground, you could probably do what you want with him. And that's what my question was, like, should Cerrone make this a ground fight?
Cerrone hasn't shown that in his last couple fights. I think he forgets that and he wants to be Mr. Tough Guy. Yeah. But he was triangle choking people and guillotining people in the WC almost every fight.
Yeah.
That was the thing about him. He'd come up, get some great stand up, because he's a Muay Thai champ. I think he was like 22-0 in Muay Thai fights.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he was a champion, and Tap Out kind of discovered him and got him into MMA more.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're Cerrone and you're fighting a former professional boxer, you don't want to spend too much time standing up with KJ Noons, knowing that
at least not trading punches.
Yeah, at least keep your distance. At least he should keep his distance with kicks.
I mean, your legs are a lot longer than your arms.
Yeah. So if he's going to stand up, he needs to take that route.
Yep.
I think he needs to take it to the ground. If he's won 13 of his 19 wins by submission, he needs to take KJ Noons down, like you said. Beat him up on the ground a little bit, try to grapple with him, exhaust KJ Noons so that if they are standing, they can't box as precisely, and then win a decision or submit him or TKO him.
I tell you what, the one way I look at this too, Donald Cerrone is pretty much got to win this fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you don't beat KJ Noons, man.
Yeah, if you lose to a guy who's lost 4 of his last 5. He's in the middle of a losing
and you just
streak.
came off your first knockout loss of your career and stuff.
Yeah.
You have to win this fight.
Yeah. Otherwise, he'd be 3-3 in his last 6, and then you start thinking almost it's crazy to even think about it, but
getting cut.
Like you can't.
He's gonna have to go ride bulls, man. He's gonna have to be that professional bull rider like he wants to.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm taking Donald Cerrone by I'm gonna say 3rd round submission. I'm gonna go submission.
Unanimous decision.
3rd round. So there you go, Donald Cerrone.
Cerrone.
What about those odds? You think he's pretty good odds? Minus 325. Is he worth it?
I wouldn't depend on him with my money. I couldn't bet
just because he's so inconsistent.
I couldn't bet on Cerrone with my own money.
Because the more we talked about,
that's
the more I was
that
seems like a good bet. But then again, who knows what his weird game plan's gonna be?
That's the way I want to think of things. What would I do with my money? I don't want to say. Oh, go ahead and take a chance. No, I wouldn't even take a chance. It's bad. Donald Cerrone is a great fighter. He's one of my favorite ones to watch, but I'm not going to bet on him because he's super inconsistent.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, as we kind of
unlike TJ Grant, not to go back, but he's a very consistent fighter.
Yeah.
You kind of can understand what you're going to get from this guy when he shows up.
Yeah.
You don't always know what you're going to get from Donald Cerrone. Look at the Nate Diaz fight. He's got better stand-up than he showed in that fight.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah.
But he got worked.
I didn't pick Nate Diaz for that fight. I remember that.
No,
you know what I mean.
I don't think
definitely
I did either.
picked Donald Cerrone in that one, but he lost.
He barely threw any kicks.
Yeah, he just got beat up. Pretty much. Yeah. Would you pair any of these fights together if you're gambling? Is there 2 that you feel really good about that you might parlay?
If you want to pick a favorite, I'd say go ahead and parlay that with TJ Grant, another favorite, or something like that.
Maybe a few combinations or something. Yeah, possibly if you have some money.
Glover, TJ, and Cain or something like that, just to make yourself a little something.
Get yourself better odds, better return on your investment.
If you throw a dog in there, like TJ.
Oh, that'd be a huge difference for parlay. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think Glover Teixeira is a pretty safe pick. I think for all the things we said, Junior Dos Santos is also a pretty safe pick. I don't know if you combine those together, what that comes out to. Cain Velasquez, obviously, and you might maybe parlay the top 3 fights of the card.
I feel like I can't.
I don't know.
I can't tell you to pick Junior Dos Santos in any kind of betting scenario.
Yeah.
Just because of
because
who he's fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because the last
you don't
time,
want to waste your money.
Last
Right.
time Mark Hunt fought, he was losing, and he
that's
broke
true.
the guy's
Just
jaw.
popped him.
So
Right. Yeah, it's wild. It should be a great card.
Awesome.
Live from the fight capital of at least America.
fight capital of the
Las
world,
Vegas.
man. Fight capital of the world.
Las fucking Vegas.
Biggest
UFC
boxing
160,
matches, biggest UFC, all the biggest fights in the world.
Memorial Day weekend, 3-day weekend.
Nice.
You know, great undercard on FX and Facebook. Guys like Rick Story
Oh, you know what?
are fighting.
I believe either tonight or tomorrow night, the countdown for UFC 160 comes on Fuel TV.
Oh, there you go. Fuel
So
TV.
there you go, as a little shout out.
There you go. A little shout out to Fuel TV.
Watch the countdown. I think it comes on tonight.
So we should be getting a free Foster's case,
Nice.
right?
Fuel
Now that we
TV
hyped them up.
package.
Fuel TV free package.
UFC.
Yeah, the UFC package. We're
just
hyping their
hyping-
product for
hype-
free.
Oh, and so many people.
We're doing this
getting
for
so
free,
many people.
right? So we should be getting a lot of free stuff soon, I think. Anything else? Any last words on the podcast?
Go watch a Kazushi Sakuraba highlight. If you've never heard of this
I love all
guy,
the throwback recommendations.
if you've never heard of this guy,
learn the history of the sport.
yeah,
Goddammit!
go watch a Kazushi Sakuraba highlight,
Watch these damn. Fights.
aka the Gracie Killer, and then go watch some Pancrase highlights. Peace!
Yeah, peace out.
Peace and chicken grease.